We begin as President Trump will soon travel, on Tuesday specifically, to Singapore to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un. Ahead of the summit, President Vladimir Putin of Russia met with his Chinese counterpart in Beijing on Friday. Xi Jingping said of the visit, quote, "President Putin and I both think that the China-Russia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership is mature, firm, and stable." For more, we go to Kevin Martin, president of Peace Action. Kevin, some might say there's a lot of distrust going into the summit, especially if you're going in as the Koreans. Do you think this meeting will be anything more than a photo op?
I think it will. I think it's going to be very important. And there's some talk that President Moon of South Korea may actually be there, and he's been by far the most important president in this process, not President Trump. But even if not, I think just for the world to see that we're talking and we're trying to make peace is incredibly important, especially to the people of the Korean Peninsula.
As I mentioned, President Xi of China affirmed the relationship between Moscow and Beijing this afternoon. How significant is that relationship when it comes to specifically negotiations with regard to the peninsula?
I think very important. And there have been reports that the relationship between South Korea and China has been a bit rocky, but I think they've been working to shore that up. And if you look over time, China has played at least a sort of de facto guarantor of North Korea's security. And I think North Korea will want that going forward. If you look at some other conflicts, they didn't have such a big brother, if you will, and I don't mean that to be condescending, but somebody having their back. And I think North Korea understands the importance of that, and I think China agrees and has been playing that kind of a role.
President Trump's lawyer, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, said this week that Kim is on his hands and knees going into this summit. Is that true? Is that even the case?
You know, I can't really pay attention to Rudy Giuliani and keep a straight face. One of the things about Kim Jong Un, I think he understands that he has been dealt a pretty bad hand by his grandfather and father. He has to pay homage to their legacy, obviously, but I think he understands that the nuclear weapons that he has right now, they're at their peak value, and trading them away for peace and security and maybe reunification down the road, and certainly more security with the United States, is the best thing that he could do, because if he keeps his nuclear weapons, he has a permanent target on his head by the world's huge military machine in the United States. So I think he's actually playing this pretty adroitly.
But of course, some sort of agreement will only come if the United States also makes concessions. Do you see that happening? And do you think there will be some sort of framework for an agreement that comes out of this meeting, and what would it look like?
I think it's entirely possible. One of the things that President Moon of South Korea has put forward as a first step is a non-aggression pact, and that could be first before an actual peace treaty. A peace treaty, you can decide what to put in it and what not to put in it. There could be other important steps like remains and reunions, more reunions of families in Korea, also more tourism and more business investment in North Korea. There's a lot of things that could be done in terms of those kind of confidence-building steps. That's not as sexy or as headline-grabbing as getting rid of nuclear weapons immediately or signing a peace treaty immediately, but that's probably unrealistic anyway. So I think if they come out of it with positive steps towards peace and reconciliation, the whole world should be happy about that.
We have about 30 seconds left. This past weekend, Secretary James Mattis, the Defense Department, said that sanctions relief will not come unless North Korea completely gives up its nuclear weapons program in a verifiable and irreversible way. Is that possible? Is that something that the United States can even expect?
I mean, one of the ways to think about this is a negotiation is like a dance. It takes two to tango. And if the United States goes in with a sort of capitulate or else attitude, it's probably going to fall apart. And then we might be back to threats of fire and fury, which nobody wants. The Korean people don't want that. People of the world don't want that. Americans don't want that.
Certainly not. Kevin Martin, president of Peace Action, thanks so much for your time this evening.
Glad to be here, Anya.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.